Welcome to Reactive Consciousness. This is the episode for February 16th, 2017. I'm your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
So
PyroJackFrost.
PyroJackFrost.
PyroJackFrost. Great Jorb. Anyway, this is our sister podcast to Corrective Consciousness. It's the more timely podcast that has to do with things that are going on this week in our lives and in pop culture. So this is a bit of a longer form podcast on longer form subjects. So having said that, my first subject of the week is so I am moving into a new apartment, and I wanted to go over the things that that I'm gonna have at the apartment. I've kind of like planned out my setup. Because as you guys know, as a lot of the long-time listeners know, I have a lot of video game systems.
You have a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
You have is it a townhouse you're moving into?
Yeah, I'm moving into a 2-bedroom townhouse, and the bedrooms are upstairs, whereas the common area's downstairs. It's like a common area that leads into a dining room and then the kitchen. So it's pretty cool because there's a bunch of space there on that first floor, and it's separated from the bedrooms. So it'll give whoever's doing that a little bit of privacy and a little bit of space from the bedrooms. So that's good. Mm-hmm. So first of all I wanted to talk about a little bit about the TV kind of situation. So my roommate and I have each our own TVs, and that doesn't quite cut the mustard in the fact that cut the mustard, cut the ketchup. Yeah, that doesn't work. But anyway, I relished that thought. Anyway,
oh God.
So we need to pretty much have each one in our respective bedrooms and in the common area. So we need 3 for it to be the best situation. So I was gonna donate my TV to the common room because my TV right now is actually the one that's in the family room that I have in my parents' house. So that TV is mine. So it's a really good one for a common area. It's big enough. So. And it's a good quality TV for the time I bought it in. It's still good by today's standards, but it's not 4K, but it's still good. But so I volunteered to buy a new TV so we could have that in the main room. And so,
look at you, Mr. Moneybags.
Well, what I ended up doing is when in moving into a new place, you're gonna have to buy some things. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting a really nice Asus gaming monitor.
Nice.
It's really cool. It's I wish it had a better name. It's a PG278QR. So,
of course.
What's cool about this is that it has G-Sync capabilities. I don't know if you guys are familiar with G-Sync, but I'll explain it. Essentially, it's like a better version of VSync, which is vertical sync on monitors. So that keeps the screen from tearing when you move up and down, like in a first-person shooter. Mm-hmm. And that can be pretty distracting, seeing like the line of the things that are being drawn at the time. So it's much quicker than VSync, and it works with NVIDIA.
Well,
graphics cards.
Here's a question. V, I'm assuming, stands for vertical, but what does G stand for?
Just because that's the GTX line of graphics cards.
Okay.
So or GeForce line of graphics cards from NVIDIA. So that's why it's called that.
Okay.
It's branded to go along with it. And this monitor is known for being pretty much having the same response time as a CRT.
Nice.
Like like an old cathode ray tube. It has a 1 millisecond response time. So it's really cool in that, it's really great to play first-person shooters on, shmups, and fighting games. So when Mr. Ryu comes over, he's going to be like all over it because it's definitely one that they would use at EVO. So I'm really excited to get it. And it also has, unlike a lot of monitors, it has an HDMI port. Most monitors use like the display port standard, and that only. But now because they kind of moved away from like HDMI on some of them, but this one also takes HDMI, so I will be able to use a cable box on it. So it'll be my TV, and it'll also be my second monitor for my laptop. Because of my job, I've gotten really used to 2 monitor setup. That's what we use at work.
Yeah,
so,
same here. I mean, I bought a second monitor once, and then after I bought a second monitor, every job I've had, every time I need 2 monitors to function properly now. It's kind of sad, but
yeah, it's one of those things where before you do it, you're like wondering why you would ever need it, and then and then like if you're in an office job, it's actually really, really good because anybody who's ever worked in an office scenario, you're using a lot of different programs for a lot of different functions all at once, and it's really great to have the surface area in which to spread it all out on. So, and especially my job, I have to click between a lot of different things. I'm in the mortgage industry, and while I'm on having a conversation on the phone with a customer, I'll be able to check a lot of things. I'll be able to check rates. I'll be able to check, property values and that kind of thing. And if there's a lot less lag time if it's all brought up and organized.
Yeah, and like even in the teaching job where I'm working by myself when I'm grading stuff, I have one monitor, but I am still like regarding email and the site where students upload their stuff where I can download it so I can grade on the computer. I'm still kind of conscious of how much either alt-tabbing or just clicking with different tabs in the same window that I have to do. Not to mention, this is way more for a casual thing, but if I were ever to do like streaming or anything like that, a dual monitor setup would be way the hell easier, so I could see the game on the screen and the chat on the other.
Yeah, and now that I want to do more videos for the Corrective Consciousness project, it's going to be really good for editing as well. Dual monitor setups are really good for editing. So,
and not to mention playing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, not to mention playing a game and looking at the walkthrough at the same time. If you're doing one of those kinds of playthroughs, like because all tabbing out and in and out of a game, I've been doing that with The Witcher, and that's just, it's not the end of the world, but it would be nice if I didn't have to do that.
And you guys also know that I'm a big shmups fan. What's cool about that is a lot of the shmups that I like are vertical, but I haven't been able to kind of play them in their true aspect ratio because of that. I've always needed to play it like pillar boxed, and this monitor comes with a stand that accommodates a vertical orientation.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
that's really cool. I used to have a monitor that I could rotate.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
And
so,
not to mention that a dual monitor setup would also be good for what you mentioned on Corrective Consciousness, like the Darius games.
Yeah. I really hope that it looks right. I'm pretty sure they're the same size. Like my laptop one and the monitor that I got are the same size. So it would only really work out well if that was the case.
Well, otherwise, if this weird distorted half of the game, it's like what?
What's also good is my laptop also has G-Sync.
Okay.
So it'll be cool. They'll probably have like the same response time or similar response time. So all around, it's going to be really nice. I'm not going to hook up the same amount of systems that I have at home in my apartment either. I have like a lot of classic. I have some redundancies built into my setup, just for really edge case kind of stuff. Like I have my Wii set up, and I have my Wii U. I have my Wii set up so I could play like like Fatal Frame 4. I could play Fatal
exactly,
Frame 4's like translation, but I could play one game specifically on a hacked Wii.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the reason why I have it set up. So
yeah, I
See
got
what you
that
do.
for Fatal Frame 4 and Project Zero 2. It's kind of similar for me.
yeah, same
So
kind
what
of
you
thing.
do is you have like your usual systems hooked up with a TV downstairs for like when you have friends over, but then you have your classic ones in your room for when you have ladies over.
Oh yeah.
Want to watch me beat Contra without continuing? Oh, sweet, can I?
Actually, you know what? A lot of girls our age love Donkey Kong Country.
I mean, that is a wonderful game. What are you gonna do? That game's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Donkey Kong Country 2 is amazing. 1 is, I mean, this is getting off topic, but like 1 was a cool game, but 2 is really where it came into its own.
I found that a lot of girls our age actually like 2 games specifically, Donkey Kong Country and Crash Bandicoot are really popular.
I never got into Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those
really
things
enjoyed
they were
like
both
the
really
first
popular.
game. Yeah. Hey, they're re-releasing it. I think I'm gonna check it out.
Uncharted 4 made it relevant again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of non-gamers like those 2 games, so they're good. They're good to have around. I'm not saying that girls are non-gamers, but just I should say a lot more people know those games than not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were like the most mainstream ones of their time. Like everybody knows. Even like I haven't played it, but you know I know Crash Bandicoot.
Exactly. So I am not going to hook up my PS2. I'm not going to hook up my PS1. I'm just going to have my PS3, which has it's one of the backwards compatible ones. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have those set up. I'm going to have my PS4, my Xbox One. I'm not going to have my original Xbox, even though it does have some exclusives. It's just, I got to pare it down a little bit. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, well, how else are you gonna play Metal Wolf Chaos then?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could have everything, but it's just not feasible when you have limited amount of space. So.
Yeah, the space is the thing. But I mean, you could always have them, and if people want to come over, you can. I would say probably the easiest thing to do is set up the consoles that you would play more often, but find a way that you could easily hook up another console.
Yeah, you could put it in a closet or something, but like somewhere where you can relatively easily access it.
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying like make it so the plugs are easy to hook into the TV.
Okay.
So you don't need to like reach around places. Maybe have like a cable.
Yeah, give me 5 minutes to set it all up. Yeah.
And then it's like that has the ports that you can just plug everything in, right? Like 2 seconds and you're good to go.
Yeah, I was actually going to do something similar. I was going to have them all in a big Rubbermaid container, mm-hmm. and have all their respective like wires and stuff in Ziploc bags, like for each system, so it's real easy to find everything associated with each system. So I do have a plan for that, but it's not going to be the mega setup that I have right now, where every single system is hooked up. So I'm looking forward to this because it's just going to be just a cool situation. It's a new space, and I'll be able to invite more friends over. It's just like going to be a better space for that kind of thing. You know, just inviting people over and to my parents' house isn't the same.
And getting your own space. I know moving can be exhausting, though. I've moved like 4 or 5 times already, so I know how much work it is. The good thing about it, though, I mean, multiple good things. One, it's nice to have a place by yourself, no matter how much money you save and how nice it is to not have to worry about paying rent when you live with your parents. It's nice to live by your own rules. Sure. And then, 2, the good thing about moving out is you start to really see how much stuff you have and think about how much of this do I really need.
Yeah, I actually, it was pretty funny. Earlier today, I texted a picture to Lotus, and I was just like, "Hey, do you want a Resident Evil Outbreak like plague mask?
Yes,
or like infection mask, and or medical mask? It's a medical mask, and like I have a branded one from way back when I was in high school and I was working for GameStop.
That's funny. And I mean, maybe I could borrow it if I LP Outbreak, and it's like, look, it's the mask.
So I just threw it out. Because you said you didn't want it.
Okay, well, whatever. Oh, by the way, to add on to what Pyro had said, in addition to picking and choosing what to actually take with you, there's also one great benefit is that if you have like a really messy room situation or something like that, it can be really daunting to fix a room that is problematic as opposed to start from scratch. Like when you have a completely empty room, you can arrange things however you'd like, and maybe it'll get messy later, but at least right now, like I'm gonna get it right this time.
Well, what's good about this is like I've also gotten rid of like a lot of stuff. Like I've just accumulated a lot of stuff over the years, like promotional items for games like that I'm never gonna play again, and just like useless stuff, just kind of stuff that I've just been keeping around and never really had the initiative to get rid of. So it's been good in that regard. I actually sold my friend Nick owns a video game store, and I've been getting rid of a lot of memorabilia and like magazines and stuff. I just sold a whole bunch to him, and I got some cash.
Nice.
So I mean, it's better than getting the cash is better than taking that stuff with me at this point. And I used to have a problem with getting rid of stuff like that, but as I've gotten older, I've said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna get more new stuff, of stuff that I'm gonna get into. That's number one. And number two, if I ever get really nostalgic for it, I can always buy it again. It's not like it's gone forever. Like and chances are I'm not gonna want everything that I've gotten rid of. So it'll pay off, even if it's worth more later on and it's harder to get. It, like, if it's something that I really want, I can get it again.
I read an article saying if you need help getting rid of stuff that you have, ask yourself the question: would you buy it now?
Yeah,
that's a good
question.
Like
if you didn't have it, would you buy it now?
It's true. So I'm looking forward to this move, and I think I'm gonna do like an article or something on the new setup that I got once I have it all exactly the way I want it, because I think it's going to be really neat. Well, having said that, I think we can move on to our second segment here. So...
Yeah, I wanted to add this because there has been a rumor. I mean, I think it's more than a rumor now that Netflix is going to have a Castlevania TV show. I think, as far as I know, it's going to be coming out this year, so it's more than just an idea. I have a feeling they've already been starting it. And also, it sounds like it's going to be an animated show.
Huh.
So here's my thing about this. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. You guys know that. We're all pretty big Castlevania fans, but like I have pretty much every game in the series, and I've been a huge fan for a really long time. Castlevania's never been about its story or its narrative. It's been about
beat Dracula, go.
Well, not only that, it's been about atmosphere, number one,
and gameplay, especially with the Metroidvania ones.
And gameplay. Well, no, all of them have been about gameplay.
Even the non-Metroidvania ones.
And it's the environments that you're in that is really cool, like the clock towers, the churches with the stained glass windows in the background, the swamps and castles and all dungeons, all this really cool stuff. It's about all the tropes that you like,
See, I agree, but also, and I'm also worried that they're not gonna be able to show all the cool atmospheres, rooms, monsters, whatever. But I'm kind of curious how they're gonna go about it, because when you look at Lords of Shadows, that was more about story than they've been before. So I'm kind of curious if they're gonna have all the characters, if they're gonna what Belmont they're gonna talk about. I hope it's Ralph. It's less that I'm hoping it's gonna be good, because we know that most video game movies and shows aren't the best. I'm just curious about how they plan on going about it.
What's funny about that is Lotus just made a reference to the Japanese name for Trevor Belmont from
he's actually Ralph.
3.
He's Ralph for real. Yeah, that was not a joke. Like, by the way, actually, as an almost. Honestly, I'm siding more with Pyro on this one. Like, oh man, I don't know. Video game stuff doesn't tend to be very good. Honestly, I agree, and I think that's what might happen. But Netflix original stuff tends to be pretty damn good. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to play out.
Yeah, a lot of people loved Voltron when they
Voltron was really good. I will hopefully have time to watch the second season soon, because the first season was actually pretty good.
So I I just don't know though, because like there are like two games that have decent story. Like they're like some of the 3D games have some story to them, you know, like starting with Lament of Innocence, like that had a story. Curse of Darkness had a story.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mean, Symphony of the Night has a decent story coupled with terrible voice acting and terrible translation.
Well, the two things are, though, the fact that, one, I don't even know if Konami's involved other than letting them license it out. So the story could be by people who actually know how to make a good story.
Sure.
And two is, as far as it seems now, this show's going to be made either way. So let's just hope that wonder what it's going to be about now in this case, instead of if it's going to be made or not.
I hope they are able to have like the universal monsters like the games have always had.
Well,
I hope they include that. Yeah, like you know, like Frankenstein, Death, and Medusa, and it's just like
the Mummy.
The Mummy are all supposed to be in Castlevania. I hope they remember that, like,
that's where it all came from.
Yeah, and what's cool about Symphony of the Night is it made even more references to, like, they had Yorick from like Hamlet, or is it Macbeth? Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's Hamlet. It's Hamlet.
Hamlet. I'm sorry. And they have, like, in the library they have like the Wizard of Oz characters, like the Tin Man.
That's the reverse library.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they have the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow all up in there, which is really neat. I mean, like, they have all kinds of references, like biblical references, too. So, I mean, I hope that they remember that part of the charm of this series is the references that it makes to other literature and other series. I mean,
I'm hoping
even the first
that, like,
game
the
is like
sub-monsters aren't just like one-offs, just to say, hey, look, we have
we got the werewolf.
Yeah.
Well, he was a boss. But actually, one thing I'm curious about, I wonder if they're going, like, I wonder if this is going to be like an ongoing series, or if it's going to be like a one and done, here's your single season Castlevania series, which I actually wouldn't mind, because how long can you make it really, unless you actually go through different eras like the games do with different Belmonts. But I'm actually curious as to whether Dracula will show his final form, or if he's going to be like Dr. Claw where you never really fight him. And if he does show his final form, I wonder which one it'll be, because he's had lots across the various games.
Or probably know they're going to make up a new one.
Yeah, or if they'll get cute and, like, that's true, they could make up a new one. Or if they'll get cute and, like, shift among the various ones he's already had.
Yeah, I hope they make him a tragic character too, because like Dracula's not supposed to be just an embodiment of evil. He's supposed to be like a tortured soul.
Yeah, it is interesting
in all of his incarnations.
It is interesting because you always start the game going pretty much he's the embodiment of evil. I gotta kill him. But whenever you get to him, it's just kind of like, yeah. It's like he kind of needs to die, though.
I mean, in the book and in most of the movies, he's supposed to be somebody who's lost a lot, right? And that's why he's evil. Like, he just kind of hates the world. You know, he's a tragic character. And they kind of get into that in Symphony of the Night. Like, he was once in love, you know, with a human, and you know, the humans killed her because they accused her of being a witch, right? When she was really just mixing herbs and like medicines in a cauldron at the time. So I mean, and in some of the other like later Castlevanias, they even have like a more complicated tragic story to Dracula. I'm not gonna go into it because it's part of the fun of those games. Like Lords of Shadows ending, but and Lament of Innocence kind of goes into that too.
Lord of Shadows story was really weird.
Yeah. So I think I hope that they remember that he, you know, to include these things, because that's what Castlevania is all about.
Actually, well, speaking of including all these things, one thing I kind of hope is that it's not mostly about fighting monsters, because like you said earlier, a lot of Castlevania is navigating the environments, and I kind of hope that the environments are kind of characters unto themselves. Like you said, there are certain parts you just remember every time, like the clock tower. And one thing I particularly hope they have, even though I don't think this would be a top priority, but I kind of hope they have that ballroom with the ghost couples kind of spin dancing throughout.
Like doing the waltz.
Yeah, that always just kind of got me. It's like, that's really elegant. And by the way, I don't think they're going to have this one, but I would love to see Grand Falloon, like the Symphony of the Night version, because that one was messed up,
Well,
there's lots of things that I'm hoping they have, but they're not going to have the time to do all of it.
Yeah, there's no way.
One thing that I hope that they kind of mention is that, like, Castlevania's, like, the actual castle itself is supposed to be like Hogwarts. It's like a living magical creature into itself, and that it's constantly changing and shifting. So I kind of hope they talk about how it's hard to navigate it because it's not like a real space. It doesn't follow, like Euclidean geometry, let's say.
Yeah,
it's a very Lovecraftian thing to say.
Yeah, or like an MC Escher painting,
the acute angle acted as though it was obtuse. It's like, what? Like, I love that.
But I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I mean, like, what the hell,
Yeah, and it brings up another thing that I wanted to mention is last year they were gonna do a Zelda show too. I don't know if it was Netflix. Geez. But there was going to be a Legend of Zelda TV show, and I'm kind of curious where that went because
that's tough. Because how are you going to have Link be the main character when he just never talks? Unless you just make him talk.
Princess.
I was just saying, I know the cartoon is pretty bad, but I think they could do it. I mean, they could give him a voice. There's nothing wrong with that.
The cartoon actually had potential. It was just cheesy 80s schlock.
I also, guess on that note, you know what Link's last name is?
I heard.
Link.
Yeah, Mario.
And Link.
Yeah. I mean, the Mario thing is not canon, but Link. Was that a joke?
No, Mario is. Mario. Miyamoto said that it's Mario.
Did he really?
Yep.
Really? Because I know the movie said that, but really?
Yep.
Because the Link thing, was that like a joke, or was that like, no, that's his name?
No, that's actually what Miyamoto said.
But was that a joke, or was it?
Both of them might have been joke answers, but for all intents and purposes, it sounded like that's the closest we'll get to knowing.
Because I know he's done little cutesy stuff. Like, one of the questions fielded to him was like, we got Bowser, we got all the Koopa kids. The Koopa kids apparently are not Bowser's kids, but we got baby Bowser. And it's like, who's Bowser's mom? And Miyamoto just like points at himself, and it's like, I get it technically. Yeah. So it makes me wonder about Link.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thought on Zelda. Like, just like a lot of other video games, just like Castlevania, like Zelda is about its tropes. It's not about its story.
Yeah, you remember the monsters, but it's about the dungeons. It's about the adventure. It's about Ganon, I guess.
It's about its characters as of late. The characters themselves have individual stories, but the overall story is almost always the same. It's like
beat Ganon and navigate the desert dungeon, the water dungeon, get the boomerang, get the hook shot.
Ever since Ocarina of Time, I would say it's been about individual stories, like you go into a town and you hear this guy's story and you try to help him, or you try to help the Skulltula family.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, and then Majora's Mask is an extension of that. It's all about the little stories.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the whole game is helping people out in Clocktown.
Exactly, and even Skyward Sword is all about that. It's all about helping the people on the island.
Yeah, and not only that, but even on the main islands, people have names that you actually remember, like they're real characters and not like that guy in town number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's all about those little stories. It's not about the big one, because the big one is basically the same every single time.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a complicated one. It's like, go defeat the evil thing.
Yeah, every time.
Right. And the evil thing is being bad. Go defeat the evil thing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing there's no revelation there.
And I kind of wanted to. Oh, so you finished first before.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, they've added those little stories in order to flesh out the bigger story each time. But it's never, that's a hard thing to. I guess maybe a series format will work in that way. If they remember that that's what Zelda's about now, they could be like, okay, this episode's about this character.
The thing is, for Zelda, like for Castlevania, I could actually buy a TV show, like a proper TV show, like a Netflix series. But for Zelda, I really think that would work better as like a web series that consists of 5 to 15 minute long episodes. Because I don't know how you're supposed to do like a 25-minute Zelda episode and have a whole series of that.
I mean, I think that the problem with most video games and books turning into a TV show or movie, the problem is that in video games, it's all about the player interaction.
That's the thing.
And
like you're running around
characterization,
and grinding.
And then in the books, like the narration is part of the story too, which you can't do always in a TV show. So that it makes it really hard to make a good book movie or video game movie or TV show because of that.
Yeah, but I mean, especially with Zelda though, because like Zelda and like older Final Fantasy games, they have a plot, but like you're not gonna do like a 40-hour, TV series. Like 3/4 of the game is just you playing and fighting random encounters. So like, how do you capture the spirit of that and not make it stupidly long, but make it long enough that it doesn't feel like you're glossing over a core aspect of the game?
Here's what I actually hope about both of these, and maybe you guys would agree. But I hope it's not an adaptation of an existing game. We
don't
franchise.
Need that.
What I hope it is I hope it's another story within the franchise that can act as one of the entries.
I'd be okay with that.
That's what I'm hoping for Castlevania and Zelda. I was hoping that it would be a new story.
Yeah.
Because I don't need an adaptation of Link to the Past. Like I know what the story is.
Well, no, I was actually going to mention
that.
The
problem with an adaptation is that people know what to expect, so people can be
That's
upset
the thing.
when it's not what they're expecting.
But not only that, but Link to the Past is a very video gamey Legend of Zelda, so an adaptation of that I think would not do very well because there's barely any dialogue. It's like almost nothing but dungeon crawling and killing stuff. And Ocarina of Time I wouldn't want adapted because enough already with Ocarina of Time. It's a great game, I get it. And if they were to adapt anything into a movie, I bet you it would be that. And I don't need even more Ocarina of Time. I've heard enough about it for the last 15 years. It's a great game. Give it a break. And I don't mean give me a break. I mean give the game a break. I'm not something else. You know what I wish.
You know what I wish there actually was? I wish there was a Chrono Trigger TV series because I think that would work really well.
That would be interesting.
The anime
that's
intros
yeah.
that they made for the PlayStation version of the game were really cool, and you could do a lot with the time traveling in that. You can do a bunch of different scenes that weren't in the video game. I wish that was more of a series.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is another RPG. Chrono Trigger is another fight a lot of things RPG, but that was way more plot intensive than something like Zelda.
I mean, most RPGs are.
Yeah,
most RPGs are what now? Oh, are grindy.
No, are more story intensive.
Than Zelda. Yeah, but
or Castlevania.
But I mean, with the older Final Fantasy games, the story was there, but you kind of stopped thinking about it a lot because of all the extra grinding you would do, up until Final Fantasy 6 or something, which kind of kept you in it for a while unless you went out of your way to grind. But Chrono Trigger is really the story is always kind of there. You remember what you're doing at all times. With older Final Fantasies. And even maybe 4 and 5, it's easy to kind of go off and do your own thing. Again, you can with 6, but 6 has so much going on that you're a little more on point with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we went over this pretty well. I think I'm always disappointed with these kinds of things. I'm almost never impressed. I like the only adaptation that I've ever really liked of a video game has been Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah, and actually, so I made an interesting.
But even that, it's good just because of how cheesy it is.
Well, that's the thing. I forgot who told it to me. There's a chance it was one of you too. So I might be dropping the ball on this, but I remember saying, "Well, Mortal Kombat 1 was a good movie," and they're like, "Yeah, but the old Mortal Kombat games are schlock, and the movie was schlock, so it did a good job." And it's that's a good point, actually. The other one I would go for is the first Silent Hill. It shied away.
That one's decent.
It shied away from the whole birthing a god thing and made it into generic witchcraft. But God, that movie's visuals are unbelievable. They nailed the aesthetic in that one.
I mean, I like a couple of them because they are bad. I like Mario Brothers because come on,
I can see that.
So
and it's fun to laugh at how badly House of the Dead gets almost everything wrong that it can.
And I love the Double Dragon movie because it's a piece of shit. I don't know, I love those two in particular because they're crap.
You know what I liked was with the Doom movie. I don't remember if Karl Urban had really gotten his charisma yet, because I think he was the generic protagonist in that one, so I don't know how much he really had to work with. He's more charismatic, I think, in other movies, but The Rock was in the movie, and I like pretty much anything The Rock is in.
Charisma through the roof.
He's really fun to watch, and the ending FPS sequence in the Doom movie was a blast to watch, and also the guy nicknamed Pinky turning into a Pinky, that was freaking cool. Like, that was a really cool depiction. That was like a straight up like Doom 3 Pinky. I was like, yeah. So like that Doom 3 had a really good, or the Doom movie had a really good sequence in it, I suppose. Silent Hill Revelation was a bad movie, but again, visuals are on point.
I can't think of any video game TV show that was any good.
Oh, like, wow, that's a tough one.
I'm trying to think of, like, a lot of people like Danganronpa 3. I mean, you can kind of count that as...
I have to
that was good.
Wait before watching that, but yeah.
That was good, but it was like, it was good because it was its own story.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a tough one.
And it wasn't trying too hard to retell something that's already been done, or... I mean, like, Captain N wasn't that bad, but that was because...
it's pretty bad. Go back to it.
Not only that, but it's like an embarrassment to every
really bad
video game character that actually shows up. Oh, actually, you know what I will say?
Especially Simon Belmont.
Oh my god, yeah, he's like a fop.
He's a narcissist.
Yeah. No, but no, you know what? I actually got a decent one. The show was not good, but you know Mortal Kombat Conquest, surprisingly with a C, not a very good show. But the end of the series, holy shit! Like, do you know what the end of the series is?
No.
Like, this isn't anything I don't think we really need to worry about spoilers for freaking Mortal Kombat Conquest, because it's a show that doesn't really have consequence to the rest of the series. But, oh man, like, I mean, because characters from the game show up, but they're always like ancillary. They're like the villain of the week or something. The main characters, none of them are from the games, except for Raiden, who is not played by Christopher Lambert, but he's being played like Christopher Lambert's Raiden in Mortal Kombat 1. He's like the snarky mentor, so he's in there. But the end of the series, I had heard that the ending sequence was going to be a setup for Season 2. Like, how is this going to resolve? Find out next season. But Season 2 never happened. So what happens is Shao Kahn beats Raiden, and his men just kill off all the main characters, and that's it. Shit. And it's just like, wow! Like, that's like the craziest, like, that's amazing. Like, if I had seen that on TV, I'd have been like, what? And then there's just no follow-up. Like, that's the end. Like, that's insane. Oh, actually, you know what? Saturday Morning Sonic, not bad. The Archie Comics one, not bad. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, I way back in the day, I don't know if... I think Pyro might have seen this one. This is going to bring back some memories. So there was an anime OVA of Final Fantasy. I think it was called, like,
Unlimited?
Quest of the Crystals. No, it was before Unlimited.
Really? It was a different one.
And it's a sequel to Final Fantasy V, and at the time we hadn't received Final Fantasy V.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
We had
it doesn't ring a bell to
anime.
me.
Okay, so I think the main character looks like Tenchi and uses the same voice actor as Tenchi, Tenchi Muyo, which is really great. But I mean, like, I'm kind of dating myself there because it's like a 90s anime, for sure. But I mean, it was super tropey. I mean, like, there's a you know, like a pirate girl who's like a tsundere kind of character, you know, like just like, you know, and has a bunch of minions who, you know, like throw a bunch of bombs at people comically, you know, like she's basically like Tron or something, you know, like, but it's a lot of fun. It wasn't bad. Let's just say that.
Actually, you know what you reminded me of when you said the character looks like Tenchi and it's voiced by the Tenchi actor? Like, whoa. I'm kind of reminded, I forgot which game it was. It might have been Ape Escape 2, but apparently one thing that drew a lot of people was that the two main characters are voiced by the actors who did Ash and Misty in Pokemon, and it's just really weird to hear clearly their voices as not Ash and Misty. It's just like, whoa. It's like this like surreal kind of experience. Like, there was this schlocky movie I watched at Mr. Ryu's place called Shredder, and it's just about a guy who's killing everybody in a ski resort, and one of the main characters was Disney's Aladdin's voice actor, and it's just like, wow, this is weird! Like, it's just like so bizarre to hear that voice coming out of, like, it's just one of those situations.
Absolutely. Well, I think we had a pretty decent podcast here this week. So,
Oh, yeah.
having said that, I think we're going to wrap up. However, we will be back with another Corrective Consciousness on next Tuesday. So I want to thank everybody for their support of Reactive Consciousness. It seems like it's been a positive reaction. To the new podcast format, but keep telling us what's up and keep telling us what you like about it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for for your support and your input.
Okay, and as always, keep liking Corrective Consciousness and Reactive Consciousness on our respective pages on the new SoundCloud. Also, I want to give once again props to Dracologist for our new theme that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and it's always great. His music has really defined part of the way the podcast is being assembled here. So I really am very appreciative of that. So like us on SoundCloud, like us on YouTube and iTunes, and we'll see you next week.
Until next time, everybody.
See you next week.